Good Thursday, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center taking a look at that current map right now where you see our local area temperatures right now. A little on the warm side, but things pretty calm as I laid out with in the description. So that's definitely some good news if you're trying to enjoy that weekend. Maybe a little bit of rain here, but I'm not expecting too much. Just try to enjoy things the best you can here as we're looking at 72 to be precise there on Keystone as the last check, and where I'm at 72 as well east of Stark. I know looking back at the high temperature today, we got to 86 degrees at 5:27, so a pretty warm day, even lasting there closer towards sunset. I mean, sunset there today at 6:24. Those days getting longer here as we're looking ahead. Of course, that time change not too far off in the distance, so that'll be something we're talking about as we get later on toward March. But I know we do have some weather stories that are a big deal here in the nation, really, the national picture. You can kind of see here some wintry weather starting to move out of the heartland now. Good news for them, though. Earlier on, I mean, getting some sleet there towards southeastern Missouri, quite a bit of that accumulating. I know one of these reports showing towards Jefferson County, Missouri, over an inch of sleet. Even some lightning being reported. I had a family member up there talk about how they heard thunder even with the sleet. That's something that you don't get very often, folks. Just a very unique weather phenomenon. There's even been a report here looking back toward yesterday around parts of Arkansas where there was even damage from a lightning strike there in a winter storm scenario. So it's funny on one hand, and then we have the odd weather phenomenon, but obviously not good at all when you have people's property being impacted and damaged by lightning here in this circumstance. Another freezing rain report there toward the south. That was the more predominant precipitation down toward Cape Girardeau County, Jackson to be precise. They had 4/10 of an inch there freezing rain in that report. That's quite a bit. Started to have some power outage issues, and I know those roads really slick. Even down toward Dallas, they had some issues, and the temperature's below freezing now, so still going to have some issues there toward North Texas and the Metroplex. So some of those advisories going away. You see the big temperature contrast. That's really apparent. I mean, you're talking about 70 around Atlanta. I mean, we talked about this 2 days ago, and we're still seeing this at Ward Memphis. We're talking about the 30s. It's a huge contrast. We were thinking earlier on maybe we would get in more of this cooler air, but at this point, that didn't really look like as much of the case here. The temperature's not going to cool down as much for our local areas. So that's something to kind of be mindful of here. And this winter storm action moving on more toward the northeast. I know Boston going to get quite a bit of snow as we look ahead toward that Friday there. So something they're going to be paying attention to for sure. Just an interesting situation, interesting weather phenomenons in play. I mean, you see Houston 39 degrees right now at the International Airport, but in Lake Charles they're at 62 degrees. There's not that big of a difference between those in terms of location. You see 70s further off towards southeastern Louisiana, so definitely interesting to see. Another thing interesting to see here, of course, a pretty somber but big international topic is the conflict going on there in Ukraine, and we do have a map here of the weather up right now toward that area, at least those current temperatures as they're in the middle of the night here. I'm going to kind of explain a couple things for you here. So we have 36 degrees right now, and this right here, folks, that's Kyiv in Ukraine there, the capital. And then as we look off toward the east here, folks, you see Russia here getting on off there, and some of these different temperatures toward Moscow. We have 25, 18 degrees right now. A little bit hard to make out, but I'll kind of point those out here as well in the map. And the weather's been pretty calm, and that's been something that seemingly has been looked at here in the time frame to make the decisions that are being made here now. So definitely something that's interesting from that international picture. The weather pretty calm, not seeing too much snow or precipitation around right now. I know in terms of weather, you see some meteors reporting maybe light rain here in Kyiv, but otherwise just not seeing too much, and that frozen ground can add easier conditions really to do some different actions. But we're going to go ahead now and get back on over toward the local area again. You do see these temperatures just so warm around here, and this, I mean, go out to the beach if you can. Try to enjoy things here on that local level. Definitely something to do if you are able to this weekend if you're not working. I mean, things going to still be pretty nice. Not as warm as we've been seeing. I mean, tomorrow really will be a pick day. If you had tomorrow off, go to the beach, enjoy things. As we go over toward the U.F. Weather Station camera now, we'll go ahead and see that viewpoint here toward Alachua County, giving you guys that visual there. And you do see some cloud cover around. We have to watch out for that fog concern. I did have that on the corner there with that alert because that is in play. We'll be watching especially, and are already watching especially toward the coastal areas there. But I know toward Tallahassee, we're not seeing that at this point. At least we've had that concern though, and going to still have that concern as we look ahead in toward the timeline. You don't really see that yet in the picture towards Leon County, but other areas of the Big Bend here having to deal with this. So we're going to go ahead and let me go ahead now and pop one up here. In fact, another viewpoint that we have, that's going to be, if I can, let me switch on over to a different computer system real quick. We do have this fog advisory, this dense fog advisory in play here. You do see these coastal areas. This goes until tomorrow morning. I mean, we've had this threat right along the coast. We'll have to see how much this expands in. Definitely got to be careful. You see Parabel there, Franklin County. You see parts of McCulloch County. Taylor County with this threat there as well. So something they're having to deal with in the Big Bend of Florida for sure. Just trying to see how things are going here with that. Again, and that grayish area here is right along the coast for now, pointing that out for you. But that's going to probably get expanded here as we do look ahead at those conditions. Those temperatures being unseasonably warm, helping to fuel that dense fog potential. Now let's go ahead and pop up some national weather alerts, get into that overview. I know we have that fog concern around here. We're going to go ahead now and pop on up our graphic system in about 5 seconds or so. As we go ahead and do that, you'll be able to see that whole viewpoint from just a little while ago at least. You see down here those fog alerts, but then you see the purples toward Missouri. Still some winter weather advisories as of last check. And by the way, you see the date here, UTC time, a little bit different than actual normal time that you would see here. So that's why it says, if you can make that out of the top, 225, because that actually changes at 7 o'clock this time of year. So just not to confuse you too much, 7:23 is when this would have been from here in terms of these alerts from the National Weather Service website. But you do see here some winter storm warnings toward areas around Boston. They're going to have to deal with this here as we get closer toward March. But now fog safety, again, you saw that down toward parts of area, those dense fog areas. And again, we can see some of that expand here. So just make sure you slow down and give yourself extra time to reach your destination. Make sure your vehicle is as visible as possible to other vehicles by using your low beam headlights. We keep hearing about accidents, and we really got to make sure people are careful. There's leave plenty of room between you and the vehicle in front of you, especially on that morning commute if you're out late tonight. And we're going to talk that threat continue, but now toward weather history, a somber topic here. We're looking back. This anniversary was looking there Tuesday night and Wednesday 24 years ago. This was Florida's most devastating tornado event there back in 1998. We had 42 fatalities, more than 260 injured. I mean, some of the worst of the issue was down toward, with this, down toward areas around Kissimmee. That was just terrible, seeing some of those pictures from years ago there, that 1998 tornado outbreak. The concern, the devastation down there, I mean, those numbers really speak for themselves. I mean, looking back, I mean, we had the outbreak in 07, we've talked about on here before, about half that many fatalities. It's a little bit away from Orlando, closer toward our TV market area here that we cover, just outside there, Marion County, really, but toward Lake County. But this here, right toward the Orlando and Kissimmee metro area, and really a serious situation. And then I'm going to step up now because this right here is a look back at 6 years ago. 6 years ago when I was at FSU Weather, we had another tornado event. We're lucky, really, that we're not dealing with a tornado event right now. In terms of this is an active time of year, really. You just have to kind of be mindful of that. This was an event where we had 61 tornadoes across 11 states, including an EF3 tornado as well around Pensacola, and a few even impacting southwestern Georgia. That really definitely tells a story, just looking back at some of that coverage from 6 years ago. But at FSU, I know the team did such a great job then covering that event. But now the next 7 days, you do see here that rainfall forecast that rainfall forecast here toward northern Alabama, toward Tennessee. You can kind of see a little bit of rain, but really, I mean, you see how dry we're going to be. I mean, we have to kind of watch that a little bit because you can get too dry, and that can start to become an issue. But overall here, I mean, in this setup, this is going to be pretty nice weather, of course. If anything kind of pops up, cloudweather.com/radar. So we'll keep our eyes on things in the weather picture. You can look at other parts of the country as well. But now here's that 7-day forecast. You do see dense fog concerns. We've mentioned that. You see those warm temperatures, unseasonably warm. I mean, we're talking about averages here in the upper 60s towards 69 degrees here, really. I'll try to point this out. I'm right on the edge of the screen, but you kind of get the idea. Could have gone over to the other side to help you guys out. I'll do that here in just a moment. But again, as we do see here toward Monday, you see that rain chance go up a little bit and a little bit of a changeable weather pattern. And then as we get toward Tuesday here, you see that warming trend definitely in the picture. And then Wednesday, I know it's kind of hard to see smaller writing, but I want to make sure we put all the information on here. And I'll go ahead and kind of present this to you guys now. At the top, the reason here I'm wearing my scarlet and gray is because the Bradford Tornado boys basketball team there is in the Final Four now. First time since 1974, I do believe, second time ever. They're going to be going to Lakeland there next Wednesday night to take on the Hawthorne Hornets. The two local teams there in 1A battling out to get to that state title game. Just really proud of those young men there, and hopefully my Bradford Tornadoes can go ahead and get to that state title game and have a chance to bring a state title back to Bradford County in that sport. Definitely interesting to see there. I know the girls weightlifting team recently having a state title there as well, being brought back toward this area. So that's something nice to see here in North Central Florida. But you see, comparing these averages now, we're going to go still above average as we look ahead here, even toward Wednesday and Thursday of next week. I mean, Lakeland, if you're headed down there, weather looks to be pretty nice right now. We'll keep you updated and give you another look at the overall picture on Tuesday. But definitely interesting to see here with the overall setup here with that planning forecast. So we've covered pretty much everything we need to. I know near record heat here tomorrow. Even I know we've seen some record type temperatures toward the Tampa area that come through in the chat session with the weather service. So that's something kind of interesting to see. And I mean, mid 80s, but we're going to start to see a little bit of a cooler trend. I know we have hit 90 degrees before in February. Not going to happen at the major sites this year in our local area. It doesn't look like. That's the good news, but still, that does not happen very often, and these are definitely very warm temperatures indeed here in the picture. So that's something to kind of be thinking about here. We're going to go ahead now and go back to the overall viewpoint here of the weather situation now. You see these temperatures, you see the view of those readings here. I'll kind of move it over. These are a little bit bigger. You can see them a little bit better here on the screen. Again, we'll be watching that fog potential, so just be careful here. Just be careful here as we're watching this situation. We'll be back here on Tuesday with the next full update. That'll be March at that point, so turning that page already, of course. So with February only having 28 days most of the time, gonna go ahead and look ahead toward March, and we're to see how the weather looks. Right now it looks pretty calm, but we'll keep you updated with the very latest information here in the Weather Center. Go ahead and leave you with this graphic on this Thursday and be back here next Tuesday unless we need to be back earlier for some reason, like some type of bizarre weather setup. Not expecting anything like that, but we're on Twitter at Cloud Casey. We're on Facebook, Casey Cloud WX, and Cloud Weather, and then YouTube, Meteorologist Casey Cloud, and Twitch there, Meteorologist Casey Cloud as well. Have a great weekend. Enjoy things. Enjoy the nicer weather conditions. That'll be the predominant story.